ourselves.
That's funny.
Because I do all the objections in the things that I do to counteract those things, not just problems, but the answer. So and I meant it. So yeah, just right now, but I really I got some momentum going because I don't have the need of the pieces that I have.
All right.
Let me tell myself, you're gonna be better than you did last year.
All right. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Welcome everyone, I'm Dustin. I'm going to be doing a listing presentation for everyone today. We're going to start off by pre-qualifying the listing presentation. So at this point, I have set the listing appointment with Alex. We have scheduled an appointment. We have sent out a calendar invite for her to confirm. She has accepted that calendar invite. She has given us a nonverbal yes at that moment, right? From there, we have called and we have sent out a pre-listing package. And now I'm calling Alex to pre-qualify her to make sure she is motivated and ready to list her home when we come out on Thursday at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to go through that pre-qualification now. You'll notice I'm not going to face Alex during that pre-qualification. All right. When we pre-qualify people, do we pre-qualify them on the phone or in person? One of the key things is that when you are role playing and scripting and you're learning your scripts, always approach the presentation and the practice in the medium of which you're going to do it. So what does that mean to us? That means that if I'm going to pre-qualify him, I'm not going to do it face to face. Or if I'm going to pre-qualify April, I'm not going to do it face to face, because if I'm pre-qualifying April and I'm seeing her emotions and I'm seeing her face, that's different than if I was to pre-qualify someone on the phone. So if you are scripting and role playing with someone, make sure you're doing it where you're not looking at them if you are doing it in person, okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start off here. So, ring, ring.
Hi, this is Alex.
Hey, Alex, it's Dustin Kimberly with Team Kimberly Real Estate Group. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
I'm great. I wanted to call. So we have a meeting on Thursday at 4:30 to get your home on the market and get it sold. Is that correct?
It is.
All right, perfect. Well, Alex, before I come out, there's a number of questions that I need to ask you. May I ask them now?
Yeah, now's a good time.
All right, perfect. Now, Alex, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning on listing your home with me when I come out on Thursday at 4:30?
Yeah.
All right, great. And forgive me, I'm taking notes here. Now, Alex, let me ask you this question. Are you planning on interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling your home?
Really, I hope I'm one and done.
Okay, one and done. Yeah. Well, that's great. And tell me again, Alex, where are you moving to?
I'd like to move kind of near Alpharetta.
Oh, Alpharetta, that's exciting. And Alex, why are you moving to Alpharetta?
My son Tommy got into the new STEM school,
Oh,
so
nice.
we want to be closer to that.
That's exciting. I'm sure Tommy's excited about that, right?
He is.
And so ideally, okay, you're moving to Alpharetta for your son Tommy to be in that school. How soon do you have to be there?
We need to move for fall semester.
Okay, so but August 1st?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So we're behind. We got to get after this. Great. And so when I see you, Alex, how much do you want to list your home for?
$350.
$350,000. Write that down here. And as a professional real estate agent, Alex, I study homes and prices every day. Therefore, I assume you'll list with me at a price that will cause your home to sell, correct?
Correct.
So let me ask, Alex, what price won't you go below?
I really don't want to go below 325.
Perfect. And I don't think we're going to have to. Honestly, I've looked at some of the data and I feel like you're generally in the range. So we just kind of narrow it down once I get out there. Alex, as we always say, nobody cares what they sell for. They care what they put in their pocket. So let me ask, how much do you owe on the property?
I owe about 225.
Well, congratulations on the equity. That's outstanding. And are you going to want to be putting that equity at 325, or are you going to be wanting to put that equity into the next home?
Today
Yes.
is I prepared a few kind of.
And Alex, have you ever thought about selling it yourself?
thought it would work.
I just don't have time.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. It does take quite a bit of time and effort to get these things sold, so we're glad you said that. Now, I will ask you this, Alex, because a lot of folks ask this question. Now,
You gotta do,
are you willing to help finance the home for a buyer, Alex, or do you want all of your cash out to purchase the next home?
I'm gonna need the cash out.
Great, great. Alex, will you take a moment and describe the home for me?
Yes, it's a 2.5, about 1,500 square feet. It's a single family, single story home.
How long have you been there, Alex?
12 years.
Got it here. Alex, I noticed a lot of the homes in the neighborhood have substantially more square footage. Do you have an unfinished basement?
Partially.
Okay.
And this one is like.
And have you done any additions to the home in the 12 years since you bought
No additions,
it? Any
but
renovations?
minor ones here and there, updating like fixtures and things like that, new countertops.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being brand new construction out of the ground, like, oh my God, and 1 being a house you wouldn't want your worst enemy to live in, how would you rank your home condition and updates on a scale of 1 to 10?
8.5.
Okay. What do you think?
Probably redoing the whole kitchen and redoing all the bathrooms instead of just, countertops and fixtures and things.
Great job, Alex. Thank you. And thank you for sharing all that information. That's gonna make me better prepared when I come out to give you a listing presentation to get your home listed and sold. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm gonna be sending over a package of information, Alex. I know I've asked you a lot of questions, but once you get it, right, our field coordinator is gonna drop it off. Will you take a few moments to review it?
Yeah.
And remember, Alex, it's incredibly important that you review that package so we can spend all of our time talking about you instead of about me. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, great. Do you have any questions before I arrive on Thursday at 4:30?
Yeah, what's the commission?
So it seems here that commission's important to you. Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right, great. And we do want to make sure we're netting you the most money and getting you the most money in your pocket, right?
correct.
All right, so I tell you what, the first thing that we're going to talk about when I get out there on Thursday at 4:30 is the commission. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Outstanding. Any other questions you can think of before I arrive?
Not off the top of my head.
Outstanding. All right, just so you know, our meeting should only take between 5 to 25 minutes. Is that okay, Alex?
That's perfect.
All right, great. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday at 4:30.
I'll see you then.
All right.
This is my best words to Thursday, 4:30.
Taking a pause.
I want to see a 5-minute listing presentation.
Yeah, he said 20 minutes. I'm like, dang.
That's good.
It's they give that information in advance that they've done their homework. Okay.
Hey, Alex, Dustin Kimberly, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. You excited?
Nervous, but yes.
Outstanding. Well, I am excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold today, okay? Do you mind if I take a quick look
No,
around?
not at all.
All right, perfect. And did you get a chance to review the package that I sent out? John Gregory dropped it off?
He was very nice.
He's a nice guy, isn't he?
He is. He
Yeah.
looked really great in a suit and tie.
He
That was
does
a nice
overdress for
touch.
the part, right?
Little, but
Did you get a chance to review it?
I didn't.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do 2 things at once here, okay?
Okay.
Are we gonna sit at the dining room table or the kitchen table?
Dining room.
Okay, perfect. All right. So why don't we go over here? I'll put my things down
Okay,
and then we can go through that package when I get back after touring the home. In the
Okay.
meantime, you can review it, okay?
perfect.
All right, let's walk over here. Great. We'll put this here. I've got an updated copy here.
Okay, perfect.
Everything on the left, you're gonna review, and then right here is what we're gonna sign as soon as I'm done touring the house and we choose a price. Sound fair?
Sounds fair.
All right, perfect. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I was like, yeah, this ain't right. But I understand you saying that whenever.
Oh my God, why are we still on this call?
What do you mean, Keisha?
Well, you have a lovely home, Alex.
Thank you.
Yes, well, and thanks for having me out. Do you mind if I take my jacket off?
Not at all.
Perfect. Tommy's excited about moving to the Alpharetta School, huh?
I think he is. I think he's gonna miss his friends, but
Yeah,
he's excited for the opportunity.
well, I'm excited for him too. You guys are really moving to a great neighborhood too, so that's gonna be really exciting. So I wrote down 3 really important questions for you, Alex. Do you mind if I ask those now?
Not at all.
Okay, all right, perfect. Number 1, do you absolutely have to sell your home?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Number 2 is, would you like to price the home to sell or to sell the market for a long period of time?
Well, we always want it to sell, don't we?
Yeah, no doubt, right? So we're gonna price it to sell. Alex, let me ask you a question. Do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So all we need to do now, Alex, right, is determine a price here and we can sign this contract. Sound fair?
Okay.
All right, perfect. So let's take a moment to quickly review the questions that I asked over the phone, okay? Now, you said you were moving to Alpharetta, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, great, perfect. Sure. And you said you were moving because Tommy is moving into a better school district, is that right?
Yes.
All right, that's exciting. And based on our timeline, we spoke on the phone, right? We set the appointment today to list the home. You need to be moved into this new home by August 1st. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
A little nervous?
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, we're July 2nd. Holy bananas, right? Do you have another home picked out? I meant to ask you that on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, already have another home. Now, when we spoke on the phone, we had talked about pricing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, and you said you would like to price your home at $350,000.
Correct.
All right, perfect. And if we talked on the phone here, it said that you owed roughly 200, is that right?
225.
225, let me try to update that. I'll update the net sheet over here. Good. Now, Alex, there's only 2 issues that we have to look at tonight, all right? Number 1 is your motivation to sell this home. And number 2 is the price we set on your home. Does that make sense? Now, I prepared what we call a comparative market analysis. Now, it's over here for a second, right? There are 2 parts to this research. Part 1 is what we call fantasy land, okay? And that is what homeowners like to list their homes for. I know everyone smiles when I say that. Part 2 is what we call reality. And that's what professional real estate agents like myself list and sell homes for every day. Now, you and I together are going to have to decide tonight where we want to spend our time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The purpose of the comparative market analysis is to determine value of your home in the eyes of the buyer. Alex, do you know how buyers determine value?
But why would they like and they don't like?
That's exactly right. Buyers determine value by comparison shopping, all right? They're going to compare the features and benefits of your home to the features and benefits of homes that have previously sold or are currently on the market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for example, I saw as I was walking through and I saw the garage, it's a great 2-car garage. I saw that beautiful Acura MDX that you have outside. Do you love that car?
I do.
So I like to use cars as an example to explain homes. On average, do you know how many homes a seller will sell in their lifetime?
Maybe 2 or 3.
2, 3, 4, 5. But how about how many cars they'll have?
Bit more.
Yeah, so it's a little easier to explain. So you have that beautiful Acura in the garage, okay? And that Acura, I would probably say costs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. That sound fair?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. All right, so when you went to buy that Acura, and one Acura was for sale for $40,000, okay? And it was a base package, all right? And another Acura with all the features and benefits. I mean, we're talking the car stereo, the wheels, and all this stuff was also $40,000. Which one would you buy?
The upgraded one.
Why?
Because it comes with all the bells and whistles.
Same price, right? I mean, who wouldn't want more for
Yeah.
less? Am I right? So let me ask you this question. If I was to take the base package, right, Acura, and we put it on sale for $10,000, right? The one with all the features and benefits is 50, and this one's for 10. Which one would you buy then?
The 10,
That's right. Why?
because it's less, significantly
And
less.
do you think you could add all those wonderful features for less than $40,000 different?
Probably, yeah.
So buyers in this market think just like that. Can I show you what I mean?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and move to page 1 here. So like we were talking there, right? 2 things can happen when you're talking about homes. You can either lower the price or you can add more features and benefits for the same price. So my question to you is, Alex, before we start here, do you plan on adding more features and benefits to your home?
No.
I didn't think so. So you can see, right, all we need to really focus on is price, okay? So this comparative market analysis, I always talk in colors because it's the easiest to see here. Everything you have here in red is an example of what the market has done. That's the past. If you flip the page here, everything in green is an example of what the market is doing today. So the red is the past sales. The yellow is going to be the present sales. These are the under contracts, okay? As you can see, there would traditionally be down here, there would be an A and it would be green. Do you know what that is, Alex?
Active.
That's right. But that's also our competition, right? So if there were 10 other homes on the market currently in this area where the buyers are shopping, we wouldn't just price our home based on what it's worth. We would price our home based on the competition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So what I want to do here is I want to confirm these details here, and then we're going to pick 2 or 3 here. We've got a lot in here, so I'm sorry for that. But we'll pick 2 or 3 that really matter. So is this your address here?
Correct.
Awesome. How many beds?
3.
How many baths?
3.
And how many square footage?
1590.
And is that all accurate?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you had a chance to review it while I was walking around. Do you know which of these 10 here were most like yours?
No, I would say probably the first 2,
Okay, so the first 2 here, let's circle those. That's good.
and then maybe 6.
Okay, perfect. So where we're going to focus on here is number 2, 3, and 6. All right. So this house here, 4302 Hopkins Lake Drive. Do you know this house?
Yeah, it's my neighbor's.
It's your neighbor's house, and that's right. And this home is just like yours, right? How many bedrooms?
3.
How many baths?
3.
How many square feet?
1640.
This home, Alex, is 10% bigger than yours almost. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So let me show you what I mean by that. So this one here, all right, 224. And what did you say you wanted to list your home for?
350.
Yeah, so, and look how long it was on the market for.
87 days.
Ouch. And you said you have to be in the school district by when?
Next up.
Okay, all right, no worries. So you can see it's a little bit bigger, built in the same year. It took 87 days to sell. So let's take a look at the inside, shall we?
Okay.
So based on these pictures, would you say that this home is like yours, similar to yours, or better than yours?
Similar.
Okay, so very similar in state. Okay.
Yeah.
And this one went on the market in January.
Okay.
Sold in 87 days, and we're in an incredibly hot market. So that's a long time right now. Do you know what the average days on market is for a home of this size?
Mm-mm.
6.
Okay.
Wow, right?
Okay.
All right, so let's take a look at the next one. All right, you had pointed out that 4802 Valley Ridge was one that you knew about. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Look how many bedrooms,
Okay.
how many
340.
baths?
Yeah.
What year was it built?
1984.
And what year was your home built?
Around 1990.
Okay, perfect. So it's a little bit, just like an appraiser, right? Yours is 6 years newer, so that's great. Look at the square footage.
That's less. 1434.
That's right, yeah. So it's a little bit smaller, but look at the price.
It's higher.
Seems like we're eking up there, huh?
Mhm.
Right? And look at the days on market.
Only 16.
That's right. So would you say that this was a better priced home based on what the buyer would pay for the home?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look inside. So tell me about the inside here. I see that first thing I see is we've got an updated kitchen.
Mhm.
You see that there? And we've got a big, nice grand front porch. You see that there?
Yeah.
So based on this, right, if this home was actively for sale and we were listed at $350,000, let's take our seller cap off and let's put our buyer cap on. And you and I are driving around and we're looking at houses, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I love that house, right? And it's 4802 Valley Ridge. And then you say, oh my God, I love that house. And it's your home at 2449 Stonebridge Court. You're asking $350 unrenovated. They're asking $248 renovated. Which one are you buying?
The 248.
That's right. So don't you think buyers would feel just like that?
Yeah.
So let's look at one more property, okay? You had identified number 7. By the way, it's exciting. You guys are getting it. It's been 12 years. That's really exciting.
Yeah, a lot of history.
So let's take a look at this one and then we'll determine a price here, okay? So this home, 2055 Lake Fort Circle. Do you know this home?
I believe it's just right down the road, yeah.
That's right. So if you go out of here, you take a right, you go right around the corner, it's right here, okay? Now, look at when this one sold. What month was that?
January,
How many bedrooms?
3,
How many bath?
3,
And look what year it was built.
1993,
And yours was built when?
1990.
That's exactly right. So this one's actually 3 years newer, okay? And look how many square feet it's got.
2000,
Yeah, and how many square feet do you have?
just under 1,600.
1,600. So this one's like 20% bigger, isn't it?
It is,
And look how many days it took to sell.
34.
Wow. Do you think that's enough time for you to get yours sold and get into that new school district by August 1st?
It would be tight.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tight, right? So my question to you, Alex, is this home similar to yours, worse than yours, or better than yours? And let's take a look at it.
It's a little worse. The kitchen's not as updated as mine, and it looks like they have the original carpet and tiles in the kitchen.
All right, so you'd say that yours is a little better, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so based on these three, Alex, all right, we've gone through a lot of data here, and obviously we want to help you get into this home, right, by August 1st, because that's our motivation, correct?
Correct.
So my question to you is, based on these numbers, what is a price do you feel that we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer and to get someone to buy your home versus the competition?
I guess. Wait, can you say that again?
So based on what we've seen in here,
Uh-huh,
okay, and the numbers that we've seen, one was 248, one was 222, and one was 280,
Mhm.
okay? Based on that, remember, you're a buyer now, you're buying your own home. You've seen what these are selling for. My question to you is, if you're a buyer moving into the neighborhood and I see your home, what do you think is a price that would be willing to get a buyer to buy our home versus the competition?
I guess I would probably say maybe, I mean, I would hope at least, it was less than what I thought, but maybe 300. Simply because the one that was 280, my floors are better. I have better updates, but, and they do have a 2-car garage, and that sold in January, and I know prices have gone up since then. And then the one that sold at 240 only had a 1-car garage.
Can I tell you why I agree with you on the price, and we're gonna list it for that tonight?
Why?
If we had 10 other homes on the market, we would have to compete. Did you see how many homes are currently on the market?
None.
That means if somebody wants to move into our neighborhood as your agent, guess who they have to call?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And you're the only one for sale, which means you have an opportunity, right, to get what you want for it. Now, 350, that's a lot, okay? But I'm confident we can get 300. Would you like to list the home for $300,000 tonight, Alex?
Yes.
Okay,
I
perfect.
guess, yes.
All right, great. So Alex, all we need to do is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want, the time you want. Would that be great?
Yes, but can we, you said you were gonna talk to me about your commission?
Yeah, absolutely. What questions do you have?
So I see it says 6%. Can you tell me what all that includes?
Oh, yeah,
And how you
absolutely.
came up with that number?
Absolutely. So we sell just over 100 homes a year. And the 6% includes all the items that we do here in order to get your home sold. So let me walk through this for you real quick. So when we sell your home, we have 3 major objectives. Okay, may I borrow the pen? Thank you. Our first objective is to get as many qualified buyers as possible to view your home virtually and in person until it gets sold. Alex, do you want us to get as many people into your home so that we can get the highest price?
Yes.
Would you be okay with a bidding war?
So it would be nice.
It would be nice, right? That's what we do here, okay? Number 2 is to communicate with you weekly, not week, W-E-A-K, right? Weekly on the results of our activities. Can I tell you what that means, Alex?
Sure.
So one of our core values is that we communicate with our clients every single Thursday or Friday. We call it our customer service Thursday. We're going to call you and we're going to give you an update of what's going on in the market. So that way, if we have to make any adjustments, we're not 2 or 3 weeks without talking to each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, perfect. And on Tuesday, we send you out an email giving you an updated CMA every single Tuesday for an idea of what's going on in the market, what's under contract, and what's closing. So that way on Thursday when we talk, we know what's going on throughout the week. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, great. And then finally, we're going to assist you in negotiating the highest dollar value for your home. Alex, do you want us to help you negotiate the most money for the home?
Yeah,
All right, great, perfect. Do you have any questions about our 3 objectives?
no,
All right, perfect. Now, down here is a breakdown of the things that we do for the 6%, okay? So we have 21 things here that we do on a regular basis. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them, and at any point, if you want me to stop and we want to sign that contract, you let me know. Sound fair?
yes, and I mean, I guess I can kind of read this, I mean, looking it over, I guess, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it makes me feel better that you're doing stuff behind the scenes and not
Does Tommy draw
putting a
pictures?
sign in the yard.
Does Tommy draw pictures?
Yes.
He does, right? And when he draws them, do you put them on your refrigerator?
Yes,
So I tell all of our clients, once we sign this contract here in a minute, I want you to take this, I want to put you right on your refrigerator.
okay,
And every single week, when you and I talk on Thursday or Friday, you're more than welcome to ask me what I do every single day. We run a company. We've got 4 admin there to support you full-time in your move and help you get to the next place. Does that make sense?
okay.
All right, perfect. Any other questions before we sign?
No, I think that answers them.
All right, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get signed up and we get started.
Okay.
All right, perfect. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
You got 4 admins, I gotta beat myself for that, so.
So what questions does everybody have?
Pre-listing packet.
Okay.
What did you put in your pre-listing packet, because you had her select the comps. You had her select the comps, and it sounds like you probably put in comps that wouldn't match her property, and ones that would, and you had her figure out which ones would.
So traditionally, when you're doing a CMA as an individual agent, you'll be doing it on your own, okay? So you'll know all of this data. You should have already practiced your presentation before you go out. I was given all of this data about 3 minutes before the presentation. I have no idea where it's at, how many bedrooms it was. So whenever I go into a presentation on a team format, our administrative staff is preparing the pre-listing package, the comparative market analysis, and sending everything out ahead of time. We are reviewing that before we go out, but sometimes there's more data in there than I would necessarily want. So instead of trying to figure it out, I simply ask them which ones they think are the most similar and let them guide the conversation. Does that make sense? As far as a pre-listing package goes, what we put in our pre-listing package is number 1 is we put our comparative market analysis, which is right here, okay? Number 2, we put a fully filled out listing contract with all disclosures, including our commission. Does anybody know why we go ahead and put our commission in there?
So they can already see it ahead of time, it's not a surprise, and if they have any objections, they can ask you about it.
That's all right. We also put on the other side, we put a 21-point plan of action in case someone asks about commission. Because the reason they're asking you about commission is not that they don't trust you, it's that they don't see value in the services that you're providing. So this gives them, just like she said, 21 reasons why they should. Now, oftentimes I'll go to the one they think is most important, but again, this was kind of a last minute thing, so we kind of walked through that list.
No, what did you say you sent ahead of time? Did you-
Pre-listing package,
With the contract in there? fully filled?
everything. Correct.
But you didn't have a list date or a marketing date or the amount?
Yeah, so the list date is always the date that we go. I don't want someone thinking I'm coming out there to do anything but get a listing contract signed. We've had an improvement in our GAR contracts recently, so now we have something called a marketing commencement day.
Yes,
I love that thing,
right.
right? It allows us to get an engagement right there on the spot. So if somebody goes, well, I'm not ready to list in a week, right? I'll say something like, listen, today's about trusting a relationship here. If you think that we're a good fit to help you get your home on the market and get it sold, we're going to sign now. The second date is the date we go on the market. That's how I handle that objection.
So that field is left blank.
No, it's always 2 weeks out.
Oh, it's almost 2 weeks out.
That's right. Yeah.
Because of FMLS, right?
It just depends. So when you're on the pre-qual, you're going to learn a lot about them. Okay. So if she says something like, hey, you know, we're moving out of state in January, I may still take that meeting if I feel like she needs help getting it ready. I need movers, I need painters, I need all that stuff. Because with a low inventory market like we have today, guys, if you don't have a listing contract signed, even if they're wanting to go on the market in a month, they could be out at dinner with a friend and that's at the top of their mind. They're like, oh yeah, we're selling, there's nothing on the market. April goes, I'll buy it. Oh, well, I'm glad I didn't sign that listing contract with that agent. And now April is buying that home from her friend, which I don't blame her. There's nothing on the market right now, but I just lost a sale. That makes sense?
What about the price?
So the price is it really on a personal, it's really a personal thing. In years past, we would fill it out with price, commission, and terms, 100%. But since the market has accelerated at a rate that it has, we saw our reschedules and our cancellations go up because we gave them the CMA, the price, and everything. So what we've done now is now we leave that price bump.
Gotcha. So as far as the CMA, do you use Cloud CMA?
We do.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you print it all out, you don't send them the email link.
We've done both. It just depends on the situation. There's no one size fits all, but during COVID, we were all cloud CMAs. We even had a pre-listing email template that we had created and sent out. But we found that our cancellations were going up. There is nothing more impactful, guys, than dropping off a pre-listing package in person. It changes the game. If you're competing with 5, 10 other agents, it's huge. It's massive. They did not do that. I can guarantee you that. You show up, you look really nice, you hand them that package. Hey, this is for our presentation on Thursday. They're impressed every single time. And you just got to meet them before you go out. So then when you call back to ask more questions, you're not a stranger anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Two more things. One, do you have a 21-point plan, marketing plan? What does that entail?
So what we can do is we can provide this link to everybody, but it is the Mike Ferry 21-point listing plan of action. It's online. It's provided by Mike Ferry. That's who I've replicated my pre-listing package over. And it's just 21 points. Number one, we'll price your home competitively to open the market versus narrowing the market. Number two, we develop a list of features and benefits for the homes for other agents to show their potential buyers. Number three, we hire a professional photographer to photograph your home and neighborhood amenities. These photos will be used for listing sites, digital and print marketing. Virtual tour to be created as well as for showings that cannot happen due to COVID-19. Number four, develop digital and print marketing. I'll summarize them. Number three, submit your home into FMLS, GMLS, and KWLS. Promote your home in our weekly virtual sales meeting. Email a top features and benefits list to every broker in town. Invite other brokers in the area to tour your home. A broker's open depending on your price point. Now, guys, remember, this is the same pre-listing package that we use for 100,000 all the way up to 5 million. So some of these things won't apply. You may not need to do a broker open in a $180,000 house because it'll probably sell itself at this point. Prospect 4 hours. Talk to 50 to 100 people per day looking for a buyer for your home. We do that every single day. To this day, 8 years in, we still prospect 4, 5, 6 hours a day looking for new opportunities. And that's impressive for people. Contact over the next 7 days, all of our current buyer pipeline, which you should always have one in a queue somewhere, sphere of influence, past clients, and their referrals regarding the property. We always call all of our existing buyer pipeline with any new listing we take, regardless if it's the right fit for them. Why? It shows them that we're thinking about them, and it shows them that we're bringing off-market opportunities before it goes to the market within a week. So I might call Alex and say, hey, we've got this 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and it's in Alpharetta. It's not as close as you'd like, but it's going to be 700. What do you think? She might be exhausted by looking for properties. So she might say, I'll bump my budget up 100,000 because I don't want to mess around, right, with having to compete with all the MLS buyers. That makes sense? Constantly update you to the marketplace and the economy, weekly calls. Follow up with the realtors that have shown your home virtually or in person for feedback. That's really important. Provide full service in assisting your relocation efforts, aka helping them with movers, referring them painters, contractors, and such like that. And we've got great tools that Aubrey shares every single week for our toolbox for that. Represent you on all offer presentations. A lot of people are scared about the offer. It's their first time. She's going to be a first-time home seller. Don't forget, a first-time home seller needs just as much hand-holding as a first-time home buyer, right? We have sometimes the assumption that the first-time home seller, they bought the home, they know what they're doing. No, they were a first-time home buyer. Now they're a first-time home seller. And I tell you guys that because I've made that mistake of assuming. And then finally is handle all follow-up negotiations and contracts. And upon accepting a contract, we will handle all mortgage-related title and other procedures, keep you posted, updated, and get you a check at closing. Now, are these all the things that realtors do to sell homes?
Yes.
We assume they know. They don't. This puts it clear. None of these things seem super hard, do they? These are the things that we do every day, but they don't know that. So just showing them what we do has a huge impact for people.
And then she said that she wasn't, she was only interviewing you. How would this have gone differently if she had other agents that were gonna be seeing the property after you?
So that's a field sport. And what I mean by field sport is it's different with every market. Okay. So for example, I think it's like 70 or 80% of sellers only interview one agent, period, anyways. So oftentimes that doesn't come up unless there's a value proposition issue there. So traditionally, there's two types of methods that some agents take here. Number one, they want to go first. Or number two, they want to go last. Everyone's got their own angle on it. So for me personally, if I have a meeting on Thursday and she says, yes, I'm interviewing other agents, I'm not going to stop doing the pre-qual. But when I get to the end, I may say, you know, Alex, how many, you said you're interviewing a bunch of agents, is that right? She says yes. And I say, okay, great. And listen, I appreciate that. Everyone should have a lot of opinions. You need to, no matter what happens, I just want you to get this home sold and get Tommy into that school district. That's really important to me. So let me ask Alex, when is your last presentation with one of the agents?
Tomorrow afternoon at 2.
Okay, so tomorrow afternoon too, so that's Friday, okay? Alex, would you mind moving our meeting to Saturday at 10 a.m.?
Can we make it 10:30?
Perfect, all right, great. Same everything, I just want to meet you on Saturday.
Okay.
Why do I do that?
Just you're working on the weekend, first thing in the morning.
Well, you're also planting in her that she's not done with her interviews, don't sign with anybody yet. But you're also risking that she could sign.
So that's personality based. We can go into more depth on the side on that, but to keep it in a box, when depending on the personality of the couple is always important in who you're talking to. So if you're dealing with a driver, I'm going to be the first one in the door, period, in the subject, because he's going to make a decision like that, or she's going to make a decision just like that. If I'm dealing with an amiable personality who is very caring and loving, right? Think teachers, nurses, counselors, right? People that really care about people and how they feel, I'm going to be last. And I'm also going to make them promise not to sign with someone before they meet with me. That will always guarantee that I get that last meeting. So again, like I said, it's pretty loaded. There's a lot of different things that can happen there. But most of the time it depends. I mean, if you're working with your database and they're interviewing other agents, you probably need to figure out if you should be talking to them more.
When you drop off the packet, you don't always do it yourself.
I haven't dropped mine off in years, but when I first started my first 3 years, I was the judge, jury, and the executioner. I would set the appointment. I would send the confirmation email. I would prepare the listing package. I would take it out there. I would present it to them. I would go back to my office, prospect some more, go on the presentation, take the listing, come back, process the listing, schedule the photography, schedule the sign, schedule everything. And you can traditionally do, in my opinion, comfortably 30 to 40 deals in a year on your own by following that process without, running out of it.
But that being said, at that time, you kept your market really close.
Yeah, so that's another thing too I'd like to bring up. Where your geographic market is makes a big impact on this. So if you guys are calling expireds and withdrawals and you're calling all over Atlanta, that's great. But just remember, if you're following this process, that means you've got to drive to all of these places. So I started out keeping my geographic net pretty small, and then I expanded out because I wanted to do more business. Well, what I realized was driving to all these places was taking all of this time. So what did I do? I started FedExing them, which worked out really, really well because I would never take a listing appointment more than 72 hours ahead of time. So if I talked to Alex and Alex said, I want to list my home this afternoon, I'm not going out there.
Why?
Because if I go out there, that's going to throw off my prospecting. That's going to throw off my schedule. That's gonna throw off everything, and I'm not going to go to a presentation that I'm not prepared for. Now, remember, as you do more business, you can put these minimum standards in place. My first year, I had blanks ready. April could call me and want to list her home in 10 minutes and I'd be there. So it just changes as you grow.
How do you deal with, when you're on the phone and you're, pre-qualifying them and they sound like they're not quite ready, or that they, what was I saying? They're not quite ready, or maybe they just want to know how much their home is worth?
Well, so
How do you deal with those?
it depends on the source that it comes from. You know, if it's a database, I'm gonna get in front of, I'll go out on a database appointment and just preview it for them and help them out with pricing and stuff like that. Because if they're a great database, then they're gonna stay in my world. I generally, it just kind of comes with time, but with the experience, you can generally fill out when someone's using you just for a price. And at that point, we'll throttle back the data that we give them, because we can't give them all this data because they're not gonna meet with us. So it's kind of a feel thing, you know? The one thing that we focus on that really, really changes this entire game is motivation. If you always focus on the right motivation, you're always gonna take qualified listings, always.
Ask them, do you plan on listing with me tonight? I would tell someone no.
And I would say, I would be okay with
Or
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you get? The majority of the answers are what? Yes, or I don't know?
Well, the thing to keep in mind about the pre-qualification is you're not pre-qualifying, you're really pre-listing. And that's kind of a fun way to put it. The thing is about the pre-qualification is that don't get caught up in the answers until you've got the whole picture. So for example, if I ask you, when I come out on Thursday at 4:30, do you plan on listing your home with me on Thursday at 4:30?
I don't know.
Okay, great. That's exciting. And are you planning on interviewing? Do you see what I did there?
Mhm.
See, I acknowledged you, right? I reaffirmed you and I moved on to the next one. But if I would have stopped to address that, I would have derailed the entire pre-qual and the presentation in that moment. Because how do I know that's not just a knee-jerk reaction? Right?
Going into Macy's, can I help you with something? No, I'm just looking.
Guy walks right back up, or girl walks right back up to him, says, hey, so you're in the pants section, what are you looking for? Well, I'm actually looking for a blue pair of pants. You're like, well, hold on, that guy just told me no. People don't want to be sold something. It's okay, it's normal, but you just got to move past it. Not to mention though, what did he hear in there? Did you guys hear what I emphasized every time?
Thursday at 4:30.
List your
List.
home,
I don't listen.
Yeah. You paused.
list your home. You can say no all you want, but if I say list your home enough times, you're gonna list your home with me. So then I move on to the next one. I say, are you planning on interviewing more than one agent for the job? You said one and done. What would you say?
Say, yeah, I am.
And that's exciting. And honestly, I think it's the best thing that you can do. And can I tell you why?
Sure.
It's always best to get multiple opinions so that you know that you're making the right decision for you and your family. Tell me again, where are you moving to?
Nashville.
So you see how I didn't get caught on the objection? I'm just getting the nose out of the way first, guys. That's all I'm doing. Because I'm confident that when we walk in the door and we're this prepared, that we're going to win that business every time.
If they don't want to list with you and they're hesitant with the I don't know, how do you handle the follow-up?
So tell me about where in the process you're talking about. On the pre-qual or at the listing presentation?
Let's say at the end, when you're like, are you ready to listen to me today? And they're still like,
So we've
I don't
got
know.
another set of scripts that go through that. But if you get to the table and you're getting if you're getting a lot of objections, you got to go behind the presentation and ask, that was a long time ago. I mean, I've told my team all the time, when I go on listing presentations, I'm just going to pick up signatures, guys. I mean, that's really it. You should have been so prepared for that. You should have asked every question humanly possible. Just be curious. You know, you said you wanted to move to Alpharetta, but who's your agent? Did anybody else wonder that when I was talking with her? Who's your buyer's agent in Alpharetta?
Are you asking?
Well, I mean, you have a house under contract. I'm sitting here going, money.
I'm
We're
doing for
listening.
sale by owner.
Oh, you got one under contract.
Little townhome for me, my
So
son.
it's just being, the best thing about this industry, guys, is if you just use your natural curious ability, you'll get what you want. You help people get what they want by asking a series of questions, and in return, they list their home with you. That makes sense?
Yeah, kind of along the same lines with the commission and the 21 points. How often, or do you get any pushback on that, or a reduction, asking for a reduction in commission?
At the beginning of my career, a lot, towards the middle, not so much, now almost never.
Right.
I'm probably more the one giving it than I am ever getting the question for it, whether it be a very good long-term past client, like great example. We just had a client that's moving to Charlotte and listed his home for 1.85 million with us. We got it under contract, and I actually gave him a 1% discount on the commission. Why? I knew it was going to sell on a weekend, but he had referred me a 950, an 875, and a 600. It's just good business. Makes sense?
Sure.
In my opinion, you guys don't have to do the same thing. But I thought it was good investment.
Absolutely.
Pat, you said something and then when she was talking about the money that she need, a lot of times when somebody puts out a number, I'm curious as to what's behind the number. A lot of times they want to take the money that they sold, that they made from this one to purchase the next one, a down payment, and then maybe also to furnish the house or something. You came in at 300, which is $50,000 below what she was initially asking for. When people are going to buy, it's easy to sell their house, but when they turn around and have to become a buyer, do you also set them up as far as getting them pre-qualified? Cause like helping them streamline the process, because if she hadn't identified anything, if she was just gonna turn around, sell her house and then become a buyer, is one thing to sell a house, but then another thing for them to become a buyer, because if they didn't pay their mortgage on time, if they took the forbearance, if they did a number of things, it could throw them off. How do you set them up if they don't already have something lined up? How do you set them up as a buyer so that your sale goes smooth?
So what's your question?
My question is, you're listing their house, their other fear is gonna be they're not gonna have a place to stay, and they're going to purchase. How do you set them up so that you don't have any objections or don't go through any obstacles on the listing side? How do you set them up so that they can purchase? You make sure that they're good to purchase.
Do they need to sell their home before they buy?
Yeah.
So then we get them in touch with a lender before we go
Well,
out.
you didn't address that.
She didn't bring that
said
up.
She had already had a home picked out.
Mhm.
You didn't ask if she needs the proceeds from the sale of this so that we can time it properly
Mhm.
to make sure. Do you not even bring up?
I guess it really, there's a lot of ways to ask a lot of what ifs, but I guess for me, I don't want to distract someone from what I'm doing here, all right? Can I ask her when I'm done, when she has signed the contract, all of these wonderful questions? Absolutely. But what I've found in my past is that I hear those things, I stop my presentation, I address them, and then I derail the whole presentation. By the time we're done handling this, we've lost sight of this, and they don't end up signing because now they've got all these things floating on in their head. Does that make sense? So the presentation was based on the prequal. And in the prequal, it never came up that I need to find something before I sell. So that wasn't something that I addressed here either. But when I asked her, where she plans on moving, it's Alpharetta. Well, she didn't say, I need to find a place, I need a buyer's agent, nothing like that. Her and I were focused on listing the home. Does that make sense? And I didn't want her to lose sight of that because I've jumped in and tried to grab both and get a buyer's agent and a listing specialist on it, and then we end up with none. That make sense?
How do you deal with, and I think this might be in line with what you're trying to ask is, on the pre-qual, I said I went 350 and I wouldn't go below 325. And of
Mhm.
course I made it easy and just said, okay, at 300, because he did talk, and that's part of what having the CMA and having them come to their own realization. So it's kind of what he did. It's not, we didn't actually say it, but that's pointing it out. How does this compare to your home? And they kind of come to terms with what the price should actually be. That helps you help them. But if they needed the 350 to put into the next home, because that's what they needed to use as a down payment, how do you deal with that objection?
She would have said it whenever I said, how much do you owe on the home? And so when I asked her how much she wanted to list for, after she had told me that question, which is number. So when I said number 5, how much do you want to list your home for? She said 350. I asked a second follow-up question to that, and I said, how much, so what price won't you go below? If she needed every dollar out of that, she would have said it right in that moment. She would have said, I can't go below 350 because I've got a house under contract and every single dollar here's got to go to the down payment. Otherwise, I can't buy that house.
What did she say to below?
325, which means she gave me a $25,000 price reduction before I even got there, which I'm happy with.
And what was her payoff?
225.
So I noticed you never brought up you never brought up any negatives.
Why would I?
Right, well, no, that's what I'm noticing is you never mentioned anything that could go into negative land during the presentation, which all these other things are negative land. Oh, well, when am I gonna close? Well, how is this gonna work? You're gonna work through all that with them anyway.
And you typically will work through all of that before you get out there. So we added to our pre-qualification script this year. I don't have the copy here. This was an older one. Do you need to sell your home before you buy another? What does that tell us? If somebody says, oh no, I don't need to sell this, I can just go ahead and buy it, great. Go out, list the home, get it under contract, close it, help them, I mean, it works out really well. But when you have people that need to sell before they buy, now we're talking chicken or egg. We got a lot of great tools here with Keller Williams, such as Homeward, Knock, all of these companies are there as a tool. A lot of lenders are doing bridge loans too as well. But it's not like that traditional 5 years ago where, yeah, let's list it. It takes 6 months, which is time for them to look for a house, put a house under contract contingent. So it is delicate right now. It's very delicate.
Do you have anybody who's trying to say, like, you sold their house so fast, they didn't account for that, and now they needed like a month to lease it back?
What's your first name?
Constance.
Hey, Constance. So if I can sell this home, right, get you the price you want, get all the money in your bank account, ready to buy that next home, and have you stay here for free for 60 or 90 days after closing, would that help you buy the next home?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and sign the contract today. See, 70% of properties right now are currently, the market will reflect the concerns of the consumer. So right now, buyers are allowing sellers to stay after closing because it's trailing. Every seller has to buy, and the moment they sell, they become a buyer. And every buyer that's buying has to do whatever they need to get a house. So they're giving all the sellers, it's like big fish eat little fish, you know?
Now, 60 days is a limit though,
Is
for
it
free, because the buyer signs, I was talking to Kathy about it, that the buyer signs that they will take possession, that this will be their primary residence and that they will be taking up residence within 60 days. So
Yeah, I mean,
we
60
could
days.
lease back
Yeah,
after the 60 days.
but again, no point in going into too many details until they've accepted the concept, right? Because if I was to say, you know, that, and Constance, you would have came back to me and said, well, I need 120 days. I can look at you and go, okay, great. When we get an offer, that's the first thing that we're going to tell a buyer that we need in order for this contract to work. How's that sound? See, the details will come later, but if I introduce those details to you right away, I've just distracted them from the whole, exactly, that's exactly right. We don't want them to be spinning. We want them to focus on the data. We want and guys, remember, this is just the listing side. We want them to focus on the data and signing the contracts.
So if they do tell you that they do need to buy as well, how do you handle that?
First thing we do is we get them in touch with a lender. Very first thing. You can get pre-qualified without selling your house first.
So you don't even have that conversation. You focus on this listing and then deal with the.
Well, if they've got to find something before they sell, I'm wasting my time going out. So I've either got to work through that objection or go out there and waste time. Does that make sense? Now, one objection that we do use is we've never made a seller homeless. So let's go ahead and sign the contract tonight. That way we can start working with our team and we'll work through the process. We'll get you in touch with a lender. All right, we'll get your home on the market. We'll find you a wonderful home and we'll close same day. How's that sound?
Perfect. So in this market, do you have that, in this market, because of how competitive everything is, how is it going for your sellers? When they turn around and also our buyers, like how are you handling that? And do you also represent them on the buy side or do you have a buying agent?
So we have buyer's agents that represent our sellers. We don't ever represent dual agency in our company. Team Kimberly does not, you'll never see my name on two sides of the contract. We just don't think it's ethically possible. I know Melvin doesn't want it either, so we just don't do it. We become designated agents on each side. Is that right, designated? That's what she taught us, right? I forget, but yes, exactly. So basically the way I sell is I sell as a team, all right? We're gonna list your home tonight. And as soon as we sign this contract, the first call you're gonna get is one of our top world-class buyer specialists. And they're gonna call you and they're gonna walk you through the process. Now, we're gonna be on the left side, Alex and I, getting your home ready for market so we can get you the most money for that happen, okay? So that you can send that money over to the buyer's agent's team and buy a home. And ideally, the goal is for us to close on the same day. Wouldn't you like to do two closings on the same day, wake up in one house and be in the other one by the end of the day? Oh, I'd love that. Then let's go ahead and sign the contract.
If their sale is contingent upon them closing on the other house, you can go ahead and have them, they can go ahead and find the house and everything like that, and close like that same day, can't they, without having sold the house yet?
On the buy side?
Yeah, on the buy side. Like, we have your house listed, your house is gonna be sold by August 1st. They found a house and they wanna be in that, and they put their contract and they'll close on August 1st for the buy side. Can you do that?
You're talking about making a purchase contingent upon the sale of their home?
Yes,
Yeah.
and actually closing on it. They hadn't sold the house yet. You're selling their house, they can close on August 1st. They went out, found a house that they want to buy. So they want to buy and close on August 1st. The
Okay.
sale is contingent upon them closing on their house. You can do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought so. I thought it's kind of closing market.
That does not exist in this market.
Yeah.
Contingent
Yeah,
offers
today,
don't exist.
Theoretically, yes. Actually, no. Not right now.
But as he's bringing,
You can find people, there
Yeah.
are people that we've done 60 days out for the
oh,
closing.
all day,
Yeah,
all day.
all kinds of crazy
course.
scenarios.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a matter of asking the questions and we can make anything work. But I'm getting it, just get the listing because I'm gonna make everything work. I don't care what happens along the
That
process.
is, that,
I'm going to
exactly.
make it work and I'm gonna reduce the stress more than any other agent can. And I'm gonna do better than any other agent can. But I gotta get that signed first.
exactly right. I unbelievable, I mean, great analysis right there. Guys, we've got to stay focused on getting the listing contract signed, okay? Any objection they give you, handle them, all right? But you've got to stay focused on moving forward to a decision. People ask questions, they ask scenarios because they want to slow the process down. Do we all agree that two sellers sitting at a table are nervous?
Yeah.
That's all it is, guys. They're nervous. Make them feel comfortable.
Is there anyone online with questions?
Somebody's got a question.
Yeah, are there any questions online?
Anybody have any Zoom questions out there?
Any Zoom questions? See several people.
No, no one has any questions.
Okay, thanks, Mel.
Who was that?
That was Melody.
Thanks, Melody.
I guess the
You're
thing,
welcome. Nothing's in the chat. Okay. Someone says
Melody,
mentally is fantastic.
Awesome presentation.
I love
Awesome. Do you guys have any more questions before we go?
No.
One last question.
Okay.
Have you ever had somebody cancel their listing because they can't buy anymore?
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, of course. What's the big deal? No big deal.
Yeah, things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
How soon do you get the listing packet? What's your target of when you wanna have that to them prior to you meeting with them?
48 hours.
no sooner.
We have a
You try
company
to time it
policy.
for-
We don't set listing appointments inside of 48 hours, ever. We also don't set listing appointments for Mondays, ever. There's nothing that will derail a staff or your week more than setting an appointment on a Friday for a Monday, and you're not working on the weekends. Now, our team doesn't work on the weekends, except the buyer's agents. The listing team, it's kind of on autopilot. You know, you sign the yard, showing time goes directly to our sellers. We don't even manage that.
What about your open houses?
We don't do them. We don't need to in this market right now. Think about it. What do you really need an open house for right now?
I picked up a seller in an open, my listing went live yesterday
Yeah.
because I did the open house. And
Yeah.
somebody came in and said, oh, I'm gonna sell it on my own. By the time he left, they argued all the way home and called me the next morning
No,
and asked me to come do a listing presentation.
That's awesome. It's a very effective lead generation tool. We just don't do that.
As far as your marketing presentation, you have the CMA, you have the, wrote it down, fully filled out listing with all the disclosures, and your 21-point listing plan. I did have a question. Do you at all have a sheet or anything like that? If people ask you like where all their properties gonna be on, because you said FMLS, Georgia MLS, and KWLS. A lot of the regular consumers don't understand that. They want to, oh, it's gonna be on Zillow, Trulia, something like that. Do you have something that shows like different brand logos, like, okay, your listing will go out on these types of, on these websites through this?
Most people aren't. I've never, maybe one house out of probably 500 or 600 homes I've sold. Maybe one person was concerned about what websites that were going on. I have never gotten that.
And I think KW has a thing that has a graphic with a bunch of logos, because they're over like 200 websites
Yeah.
that KWLS pushes out to.
Have you gotten that objection before?
What websites will my house be marketed on? Because a lot of people go back and forth, Zillow.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's actually a really great question, Constance. Can I tell you something?
What?
So once you list your home in FMLS and GAMLS and KWLS, those 3 websites feed out to over 1 million websites across the world, all right, including Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin. So you're gonna see your home everywhere for sale. Do you think that's gonna help us, Constance, get the most money from your home and the most buyers in to buy your home versus the competition?
Yes.
So let's sign the contract. Do you see my?
I have a question.
Go right back. You always
Correct.
go back.
People,
I understood.
people try to slow the process down. You can't let them do it.
I understood.
All right, Zoom question.
Yes, hi, I do have a question. What about when the owner wants to sell his property, however, he's looking to buy and he doesn't want to put it on the market until he can identify a property to buy for himself?
Does he know how much he's gonna get for his home?
He will, usually the listing agent will help him figure that out, yes.
So what you're telling me is that he doesn't want to put his, so if I'm hearing you correctly, he doesn't want to put his home on the market until he finds another home to purchase, or he knows what he can purchase?
Yes,
finds another home.
no, until he can find a home to purchase.
I would ask him why that's important to him.
He doesn't want to move twice. He doesn't want to go rent until he find a place.
So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if I can find a solution to the problem that we're talking about here, is there any reason that you wouldn't move forward with listing your home with me on 430?
No, unless I can find another property to move into, I'm not putting my home on the market.
Okay, great. So once we find you that home, okay, then we can list your home, get it on the market and get it sold, because obviously you want only one move. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and I do need the proceed from my home to buy the second property. So I need to do back-to-back closing. Can you do that?
Absolutely. And I tell you what, that's the first thing that we'll talk about when I come out on Thursday at 4:30.
Okay, so in this case, do you still go ahead and sign the listing agreement even though he doesn't want to make it active immediately?
100%, guys. In this market, you don't get a piece of paper signed, you have a high likelihood of some stranger walking up and buying that thing for It has probably happened to us 10 or 15 times this year. I'm telling you guys.
So what do you do? I mean, he doesn't want to put it on FMLS. So what do? You make it like, do you sign it but make it active at a later day?
Yeah, I mean, post-dated contract. I mean, you got to make sure it's legal with Melba and them. But like for us, we'll get a contract signed today. Like we have one that doesn't go on the market for 60 days. I mean, I can do two things, right? Number one,
Yes.
I can see contract signed today and
Yes.
wait 60 days or post-date it and put it in the file and they have to call me back, right? Or number two, I cannot get it signed, schedule an appointment for 60 days. He goes out and looks at homes, realizes that he can't buy for the sell, and then the whole deal doesn't happen. Guys, don't forget the fact that the moment that someone sets a listing appointment with an agent, they are mentally thinking that they are listing their home. So I'm talking with April, we're out at dinner, you know, hey, what's going on in your world? I'm meeting with a realtor on Thursday. Yeah, right? You're
Yes.
mentally thinking about it. Does that make sense? Versus trying to put the chicken before the egg. You have to handle every objection to get to that appointment and get that piece of paper signed. And to your question, even if they cancel, it's okay. At least they had to call you to cancel.
But then we can leverage the other tools because they
That's right.
have
That's exactly
programs
right.
where they'll buy your house and you have so many days, you can rent your own house, no double mortgage payments.
That's right. Yep. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I do have that situation and I have been trying to locate, sending letters, trying to find them the home that they want. And I have sent them everything to fill in, but they don't want to sign until they have something to move into.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you familiar with contracts that are going on right now with the buyer side?
They do know they have the option to stay, but they also are worrying that if we don't find what we want, we don't want to sell and stay 2 months and then have to rent somewhere else.
What's their motivation?
They need a basement
And why do they need a basement?
for their kids.
And where do the kids currently live now?
They want more space for their kids.
So it sounds to me like they don't have a highest level of motivation.
Not really, no.
So there's your answer right there. Focus on a more motivated client. You won't have those issues.
Okay.
How do you deal with someone who isn't as motivated?
I don't deal with them. Guys, you can't make something out of nothing. There's
Yeah.
major drivers in the real estate forces everywhere in the world, all right? And it's called event-based selling is what we focus on, all right? Event-based selling. Can anybody tell me events that cause people to do real estate?
Wedding,
Divorce.
death, birth,
Downsizing, upsizing.
Yeah,
Downsizing and upsizing are not a motivation right now because you got to know the why. Like she just said, what they want a basement. Why? For the kids. Okay, where do they live now? Now, if they've got 5 kids and 2 bedrooms, that's a motivation.
Upsizing.
But if they're just looking for a luxury, like, oh, it's because it sounds to me like your client, and I could be wrong, but the market's hot, the equity's there, they can upgrade without taking any extra cash out, maybe take some cash out and upgrade. So it's a luxury. So they're waiting for the perfect house. Meanwhile, you're waiting for the perfect commission check.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that can happen? Now somebody
Yes.
calls me and says, hey, my wife just passed away. I need to move. The house is too big. I'm going on that appointment because there's an event going on in someone's life, death, divorce, a new child. If someone has a 3-bedroom house and they have 5 kids and they just had twins, do you think they need a new house?
They
Guys,
have more urgency, yes. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Somebody calls me and says, hey, my mother just passed. I'm the executive of the estate. Can we meet? Guys, I am going to that. Because here's the fun part that we all forget. Constance, what's your goal this year? Transactions wise.
oh, 10.
Perfect. So 10, okay? Do you think that if you focused every day, 5 days a week, for 240 working days a year on only looking for 10 people that are either getting divorced, someone died, or just had a baby, just those 3 things, or a job relocate, We're talking 8 hours a day for 240 days. Do you think you can find 10 people with events?
Yes.
Definitely.
So let's focus on that first. See, we all try to want to do a ton of deals and make some unmotivated motivated, when the reality is there's such a plethora of motivated, we're just so afraid to say no.
Mhm.
We just had a $3.2 million listing. The guy wanted $4.5 million for it. Yeah. And so he asked us for an exclusion. It was the neighbor. We said no. Here's a list of 3 other agents that would be willing to accept an exclusion. Give them a call today. Guys, you gotta have minimum standards, and our minimum standard is motivated clients. We want people that need to do real estate business. Otherwise, we're gonna end up spinning our wheels.
Yeah, and that's what it feels, honestly, that's really what it feels like right now, because it's like, okay, not only am I trying to get sellers, the right ones who are motivated, now I have to turn around and help them find something to buy in this super competitive market. So a lot of times you can feel like you're spinning your wheels and you put in so many offers.
Do you know what a motivated client says when, well, first of all, motivated clients don't bring up the, I need to buy before I sell. Because you know what they've already accepted in their head because they're motivated? That they'll rent. They don't care. No object. One of my best clients, we just got done selling their $450,000 townhome right here in Swanee. Not one time did he bring up that he needed to buy before he sold. And he had nowhere to go. Him and his wife did. His motivation was that he was ex-military and they had bought that home and it had appreciated so much that it was going to be that impactful for the retirement. He said, come out, we're listing our home with you on that day. He told me that. Not one time did that come up. So we get about a week from closing and I said, so where are you moving to? He goes, oh, we're just renting a place. Never even came up because he had made that decision and he was motivated. See, the motivated ones don't come with the objections. It's the unmotivated ones that have all the objections. It's always that way.
Okay, so $1 million question,
Okay.
how do you find them motivated?
You talk to a lot of people.
And that pre-qual is very helpful. And you'll find that there might be questions that you'll learn to ask too that suit you and your business. But that pre-qual is very reflective, and it makes it very transparent as to whether they're going to be someone serious or not. You know, because they'll start giving you objections. Well, you know, we're waiting for, or this is going, or we're sick, or my husband, and you'll start to hear it then. And you start to say, you know, it sounds like you might not be ready. Let me follow up with you in a few weeks.
Great answer.
You know,
Really great answer. Yeah.
and that's the whole point of the pre-qual. He's not doing it to be mean and be, but if you didn't do that pre-qual and you went, you're going to sit there for an hour and listen to those objections. And now you've wasted all your time prepping for that, getting excited about it, sitting there, and then you walk out with nothing because they're not ready. And that pre-qual really, you know, really helps deal with that. And you can tell ahead of time whether they're going to be motivated or not, and whether you're going to walk out with a signature or not.
But then again, that's what they're saying now. If you show up, if you don't show up, somebody else shows up and they blow past all that, and get the listing, you didn't get the listing.
Right, but I don't want to go out on chance. I mean, I'm not gambling here. Of course. And you know what? That agent's going to have to deal with an unmotivated client for 6 months. Thank you for not letting me have it. It's actually a gift.
Which are the benefits of having enough leads to be able to say no.
So
for other people that don't have them.
Yeah.
You go into it knowing that you may not be able to turn this, so be thinking about how to skip all that stuff and get it signed.
If you don't generate, this is something to write down out there, guys. Everyone should be writing this down. If you don't generate, you have to tolerate.
There you go.
Guys, that applies to almost everywhere in your life. But oftentimes, the reason why you have an unmotivated client or a bad lead is not because they're an unmotivated client or a bad lead. You don't have enough of them.
You ever fired someone?
A client?
Yeah.
All the time.
And then how do you set you ever have people who want to sit here and hit you up on the weekend? They'll hit you up all the way up until maybe midnight, then start first thing at like 5, 6 a.m.
No, we don't have that.
See, look, that's why I took a long hiatus last year. I was just stressed the hell out.
That's your expectations, not theirs. You're not setting those expectations correctly.
How do you set that? I realized that was my problem, so I just talked it up. How do you set the expectations? Because you said, I'm gonna call you, well, I'll update you on the CMA on Tuesday, and then you'll have a client follow up every Thursday or Friday. So I see you taking control right there, saying, I'm going to.
That's where you solve most of those communication issues, right there. That is exactly what that system was put in place for. It was to box in communication with the clients. How do you make them feel like you're communicating with them while controlling the communication without them controlling the communication coming in? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they don't ever call us at random hours because they know they're gonna talk to us every Thursday or Friday. And they're gonna get an updated CMA on Tuesday. Now, guys, that's just the customer service communication. Showings, contracts, negotiations. Alex and her team are the ones managing that communication, and that's in and out, right? They're handling their own schedulings and showings. But a lot of it's the systems that you put in place. So for example, our sellers are the ones that approve our showings on showing time. We don't do it. They do it themselves, absolutely.
Really?
Why are we playing Susie telephone? Buyer's agent calls us, hey, can I show on this time? Let me check with the seller. No, I can't show that time. Okay, what other time? I mean, we're back and forth when the reality is we sell the narrative to the seller that we have this incredible software and this partner called Showing Time, and we connect the buyer and seller directly so you guys can coordinate your schedules. If you have any times during the week that you would not like to have showings, do you? Well, we don't want to do Sunday mornings. Great. When Alex calls you for your onboarding call, let her know what times to block out. Then when the agents go to schedule, they just can't schedule there.
The 1.8, whatever 6.5, whatever it was. I mean, you should have seen the amount of things I had blocked out. You know, the cleaners were there Monday afternoons and Thursday afternoons, so no one could show the property those afternoons. They have young children, so Wednesdays were out because Wednesdays the house was gonna be messy by then, and they couldn't show it Sunday because Sunday was gonna be messy by then. Also because there are young kids, like, you know, 3 and the baby, they had to have 24 hours notice. So I kept getting calls, and it took me a while to remember the restrictions I put in. But people were like, I can't get in to see it tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, it's after 5 and you want to see it at 1. I said, they need 24 hours notice. You know, you can put all those things in there to help lessen your amount of work that you need to do after the fact, but you can put all those restrictions in. And I just tell them, look, you're going to find that something's going to change. And we changed it like 3 times after it got started, because then she couldn't do Friday morning, and then we just had to scrap Friday altogether. Like, I mean, it was crazy, but you just, you know, other sellers, like, we just don't want Sunday mornings, and it's easy. But if you can handle that stuff ahead of time and set those things up ahead of time, once you make it live, you can go worry about your other clients, and you're just waiting for the contracts to roll in.
That's exactly right.
When you have, in this market, where you have multiple offers and stuff like that, are you meeting them in person to go over all of the?
So when we get an offer that comes in, we have a rule in the company, if it's 10% off below the asking price, it goes to the listing specialist first. If it's within 10%, the offer immediately gets put into a templated email with all the highlights on it and then the special steps typed out. And she sends it out in PDF format to the seller, copying whichever the listing specialist is, right? It could be myself, it could be someone else. Hey, congrats, we have an offer on the home. When's a good time for Dustin to go over it? They will typically reply back with either a time or, here's the fun part, acceptance. See, we oftentimes think that as agents that all buyers and sellers want to do this like rodeo cowboy. You know, it's like, here's, you know, Robin sends me an offer, and, you know, I go to Alex to present the offer, and Alex goes, I accept. But yet most agents, what will they do? Well, I think we should count it. If she wants to accept, what are you doing? Like, whoa. Well, you know, I'm a negotiator. If she wanted to accept, what are we doing here? Let a buyer and seller have their contract together. Does that make sense? So she sends that out. She'll schedule a time for me to go over it with the seller, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, they reply back to her with exactly what they want to do. And if she thinks it's in line with what's normal, great. She does it, I don't even get involved. The listing specialist doesn't get involved.
And in that email, I do like say the offer highlights are below and it's just like bullet point,
What
sales
time is it?
price, earnest money, due diligence, et cetera. So that they don't actually have to go through
All
the
right, we'll go
contract
for another
below.
5 minutes and then we'll be done.
So.
Does that help answer your question?
Yes, it does, because I was wondering how, because you obviously take a lot of listings. And I was trying to figure out, okay, so how do you manage it? Because I'm hearing people get 30 something offers on their listings. Like, how the heck do you manage that after you've already listed the, how do you get them, bring them all the way to the end, like explain the highlights of all the offers and get them to the close?
Yeah, so the multiple offer stuff is it's slowed down tremendously in contrast to like 6 months prior. I mean, 6 months prior, we were getting 30 or 40. I mean, it's just nuts, right? That's kind of been a moving target for us. It's been new and unique, but we've been working through it. But the idea is that within 48 hours, within 24 hours, because that's a very common question for a seller, right? What happens when we get multiple offers? Okay, here's the process here. May I tell you now? We will let you know within 24 hours if we're going to do something called highest and best. All right. So if we let you know within that, then we're not going to present offers to you until the deadline time. And then we immediately change it in the first multiple listing service. And we say highest and best is due by Monday at 5. Offers will be presented on Tuesday. We take it, we put it in a box, put it on the shelf, and we pull it out on Monday. And we look at all the offers, and then we ask our seller, would you like us to present all 30 offers or recommend the best one? 9 times out of 10, they're like, just send us the best one. Great, please confirm back that you do not want to see all 30 and that you would like to let us recommend the best one. The reason we get that email is for liability purposes.
Yeah, I know why, because I know agents who, well, I know people who said, I don't believe that my offer was presented to the seller. I want you to have your client sign a document saying that they saw my offer.
The reality, guys, is that we're in a tough market and there's angry buyers, there's angry buyers agents. There's buyers agents calling our broker. There are buyers agent. There are buyers guys that are going and knocking on the door of the seller. I mean, it's happening left and right, but guys, let's not forget, this is a byproduct of the current market. So let's not set large scale rules over what may only be for a year kind of thing. That makes sense?
A resource that might help you with multiple offers if you are still experiencing that is Campbell and Brannon. Actually, they have that free breakthrough broker, I think it's called, and you sign up for. They actually have a multiple offer spreadsheet. You can go in there and put your own little logo and all your details in there. It's very easy. It's like through Excel. So, and you can easily, it's all set up for you and you can just type in the details and then, type in the offer highlights and send that over to your clients. And then that way you guys can both look at it at the same time and say, okay, offer 1, it's all in one line, offer 2, etc. And that's another way to do it. That's what I would do previously for other agents when I was a general admin and would help them with multiple offers.
Well, they also say command to do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do a Google Sheet.
Yeah, same thing.
And everything is saved on Google Drive. Nothing is saved on a computer.
Yeah.
Because a hard drive will fail. So I have a folder for every client. And under the client, like the one that I took yesterday, I created a folder, at JP, created a folder called offers. And then in there are 10 folders, offers 1 through 10, the way they're labeled, and offer comparison of Google Sheet. I then share that whole folder with the client if they're tech savvy. And then as the offers come in, JP drops the actual PDFs, because I put in the notes that send all offers in PDF form, drops the PDF in the folder, renames it offer 1 dash, and he names it. And then he puts, the spreadsheet has all the highlights, the offer date, what the offer expiration is, the offer amount, if they're asking for closing costs, the whole list of things that we want, that I like to present. And that's shared with them, and then we'll text them and say, hey, we got an offer, the spreadsheet folder has been updated, and I let them look at it and compare it. That's the way I like to do it. Now, I have had clients that I laid it all out and they just want me to explain it to them. You know, they didn't want to do it.
You know,
on
it's
their own.
interesting, oftentimes the best thing you can do is just ask the client how they want to roll, how they want to accept their contract, right? How do they want them to be presented, you know? Sometimes we have things going on in our head that's only going on in our head, but I might ask him or April or Alex, hey, Alex, in the event we get multiple offers, how would you like me to present those to you? And you might say,
Can we just pick a day and you collect them all and we go over them
great.
together?
Might ask April, hey, April, in the event we get multiple offers, how would you like us to handle that?
Send me an email.
Great. In the event that we have multiple offers, how would you like me to present those to you?
I want to see them all in a comparison as they come in. If I
In the
can.
event of multiple offers, how would you like us to present them to you?
I want the best 3.
That's exactly right, yeah.
I
What
love
about
it.
you, Constance? In the event of multiple offers, how would you like them presented to you? Because we may get 50,
I want you to pick.
right? I'm the same way. Guys, that's a reflection of personality. Ask what your client wants
Mhm.
and give it to them.
Do you pay in your marketing thing, because you do the photos and you do the videos, do you, your team pay for that? And that's just a cost, or do you roll it over, say something like, okay, if they were to cancel a listing, you'll reimburse XYZ?
So we charge a standard for us, right? Can't use the word standard, but this is not a commission. We charge a $695 transaction fee on every transaction, including the buy side. And that goes to offset costs of the administrative team. The commission is for us to consult you on getting the highest and best offer as the agents. The $695 goes to support our administrative team and offset our marketing costs for every individual home purchase and sale.
How do you get that?
Put on the contract,
Put it on the contract, gets paid at closing.
so it
Oh,
says,
they pay it at close?
Yeah, oh yeah, so if they do have an objection, I'll say you guys owe us nothing today. And then also in the bottom of it, I'll say, the net sheet that I've got here reflects that being included. Do you have any questions about the commission?
and you won't see it on Zoom, but it just says 6%, and then where it says other, it says $695 transaction fee.
Oh. And do you have to, you don't have to put anything special in there for it to come out at closing?
No
Well, when you get to closing, you or
transaction.
your transaction coordinator, if you have one, or command compliance will tell you that you need this. It's called the ICA, or the people have been calling it different things recently, the instructions to the closing attorney. And that's a back of the house document that only agents look at. And it is from the buyer's agent and the listing agent on what is each portion's commission, based on the reflection of the FMLS. So for example, if there is a 6% commission and I'm only sharing 2.5 to April, it'll say 6%, 2.5 to the buyer's agent, or 3 to the buyer's agent. And then at the very bottom, it'll say $695 transaction fee to be paid to DTK Capital, which is our LLC that we run our company through.
And where he's saying is like under the special steps on the last page with the signatures.
That's right. But remember, if you put a transaction fee on a listing agreement and you do not put it on that ICA, it will not make it to the closing table and you're out $700.
Well, how'd you find that out?
Oh, God. All the time, man, all the time. So I'll take one more question. Is there anybody that has another question from Zoom, and then we'll be done?
Right.
It's okay. He
Yeah,
and
they
all
look
my
like-
guesses. All right.
Well, thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Down.
Thank you. It was excellent.
Thanks.
That was great. I only know one person that could have done that better.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I know, I saw
I don't know, it's
the
funny because, you know, the objections are, it's interesting to hear the objections
Yeah,
that I don't ever hear.
right,
Because I just don't do it.
right.
You know, it's like,
Oh, you do, you've done it enough to have them all.
well, I mean, you see it coming.
Yeah.
You see it coming. every-
And then
I didn't see that
and then
coming.
she was like,
Heard the video that I watched.
No, I mean, like I told you before, the objections that you don't get are the ones that you practice the most. crazy how it works, man.
Yeah, look
Did I practice that commission check 1,000 times before I started contacting? And you just weave and you bob and you drop good things in it. pull them things back, and, you know, just like, yeah,
I like
now,
that.
touch this percent, touch this
Alex, are you guys all set in there?
percent, drop it to 6%,
Mhm.
you know, and my first fear